My name is Connor Miles. I grew up just outside Des Moines, Iowa, the kind of place where people wave at you whether they know you or not. Everyone smiles even when they've got nothing to smile about. It's simple, predictable, and mostly quiet. That's the kind of life I thought I wanted, something solid, peaceful, maybe even boring. By the time I turned 32, I had everything I'd ever hoped for. A growing construction business, 2 trucks, a loyal team, and a house I built with my own hands. I was married to Rachel, the girl I'd been in love with since college. I thought we were unbreakable. I thought I'd made it, and then he came back. Brennan Cole. We went to high school together. He was the smooth-talking quarterback, the guy who got away with everything. Teachers loved him. Girls followed him. He moved to the city after graduation and made a name for himself in real estate. When he came back to town driving a brand new Tesla and wearing a Rolex, people treated him like royalty. He invited me out for drinks one night, said he was impressed with what I'd built, said he had a deal I couldn't turn down, some luxury eco-homes out west of town. He wanted me to handle the full construction contract, said I was the only one he trusted. I should have known. I should have smelled the rot behind that perfect smile, but he said all the right things and I believed him. The contract looked legit. He wired an initial deposit, not much, but just enough to build trust. I hired more crew, bought materials, leased extra equipment. I poured everything I had into the project. Every day I walked that site, I imagined what we were building, a future, a name. 6 months in, the money stopped. He said it was a bank delay, said the investors were reshuffling, said don't worry, so I kept going because I wanted to believe I hadn't been played. And then one day Brennan was gone. No calls, no texts, just gone. The site was empty, his number disconnected. I checked the business registry. His LLC dissolved, the bank account closed, the money gone. I tried suing him, but there was nothing to sue. It was like chasing a ghost in a tailored suit. Within a month, I lost everything. My business folded. Creditors came after me. I sold my trucks, lost my house, and Rachel left. She said she couldn't live in a world where failure clung to her like smoke. Told me I should have seen it coming, and just like that, she was gone too. Packed her bags while I was out trying to salvage what little I had left. I remember standing in my driveway that night, watching her tail lights disappear down the street. That was the moment something inside me changed. It didn't break. It hardened. I moved into a cramped room above a bowling alley and took night shifts at a warehouse, stacking boxes, sweating through every hour. No friends, no future, just thoughts. Thoughts of Brennan. Every time I lifted a crate, I imagined it was his face. Every night I made myself a promise. I would make him pay, and not just in money. I would destroy everything he built, his reputation, his power, his pride. But I knew I couldn't do it as Connor Miles. He already burned that guy to the ground, so I created someone new, Chris Morrow, a clean-cut real estate investor from Denver with a portfolio of silent money and fake companies. I bought the suit, learned the jargon, made a website, fake client testimonials, polished LinkedIn. Burner phones, everything. I spent a year building this ghost, then I waited. And like fate wanted it, Brennan popped up on a YouTube podcast, bragging about a new project in Miami, waterfront condos, luxury units. I showed up at a networking event he was speaking at in Vegas. Slick suit, business cards printed on thick matte stock. I introduced myself as Chris Morrow. We talked for 5 minutes and he was already pitching me a deal. Said he needed a new investor to close the last $2 million. Of course he did. I played the part, interested but cautious. I asked questions only someone with deep pockets would ask. Over the next few weeks, I strung him along, calls, emails, late-night drinks. I told him I wanted in but needed to be sure. He sent me PDFs, mock-ups, investment decks full of lies, but to an outsider it looked clean, smart, profitable. What he didn't know was I was recording everything. Screen captures, call logs. I built a digital folder with over 200 pages of evidence. Fake invoices, photoshopped permits. Proof he was pitching the same units to multiple investors. Classic Ponzi, but I didn't stop there. I reached out to his previous partners. A few were broke, some were silent, and one, a guy named Marcus, had been trying to find someone who would listen. I sent him everything. He cried on the phone, said I just gave him his life back. He went to a reporter next. An investigative journalist with a reputation for exposing fraud. We handed over the entire file anonymously and waited. 3 weeks later, the headline hit: luxury real estate mogul under federal investigation for massive investor scam. They raided his offices, froze his accounts, investors pulled out, lawsuits piled in. And Brennan, he panicked, tried to run. But Marcus had tipped off authorities. They caught him boarding a private plane in Fort Lauderdale, wearing a stupid hat and sunglasses like some Hollywood villain. They cuffed him on the tarmac. I watched the video 100 times. The trial went public. The news played the audio of Brennan laughing about how small-town idiots made the best marks, how he'd never get caught, how they'd bend over for money. He got 18 years for wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. But that wasn't the best part. The best part was showing up to his sentencing. In the back row, no one knew who I was. He looked around the courtroom, sweating in a cheap suit, hair thinning, lips cracked. He locked eyes with me for half a second, and in that moment he knew. He knew I did it. He couldn't prove it, but he knew. I didn't smile, I didn't nod, I just watched as the judge read out the years. And when it was over, I walked out of that courtroom and let the sun hit my face. For the first time in 3 years, I felt peace. He took my business, my name, my marriage, so I took his freedom, his money, his reputation, and I did it slowly, quietly, perfectly. Revenge isn't about rage, it's about patience. And now I sleep like a baby, but that wasn't the end. The investigation cracked open a wider case. Turns out Brennan wasn't working alone. He had partners, silent investors who funneled dirty money through his fake projects. The feds needed someone who understood how the scam was built to dismantle the web. They approached me, quietly, offered me a consulting role under full confidentiality, said I could help bring down the rest of the ring, so I said yes. For the next year, I worked in shadows again, this time on the right side. I helped map out shell corporations, trace transaction patterns, and predict where the money would move next. One by one, the dominoes fell, accounts frozen, fake CEOs arrested. 2 were picked up in Dubai. Another tried to flee through Canada. And each time I saw a name flash on the screen, I felt like a piece of myself was being rebuilt. The DOJ called me their ghost asset, said I'd done what most agents couldn't. And when it was all over, when the final arrest was made, they offered me a clean job under a new name. High-level financial crimes consultancy. Big money, big freedom, but I declined because I wasn't chasing money anymore. I bought a small cabin in Montana, off-grid, quiet, near a lake that turns silver at sunset. I wake up with the sun and sleep before the stars get too loud. I build furniture with my hands. I write in a leather journal. I feed the foxes who come to my porch. No one knows who I was. No one knows what I did. And that's exactly how I want it. You see, some stories don't need applause. Some victories are best left in silence. I didn't just get revenge. I erased him from the world he thought he owned. And in doing so, I found myself again. That is the real win. That is justice.